Hey everybody, how's it going? I was just noodling a little bit before the show started, and just wanted to brush up on some chops, take every moment you can to play. That's my philosophy. How's everybody doing? Everybody's doing okay today. I hope everybody is. Please give me a thumbs up if we can hear each other properly. I'm gonna just adjust my chair here and say hello to everybody. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? So today's show number 70, guys. The big 7-0 is finally here, and I was just thinking back. Wow, that's like I didn't think that I actually aired 70 shows, but yeah, the numbers don't lie. 70. So I think it's a great milestone. I want to say thank you to everybody that's been supporting the channel, man. It's so great to see people coming back over and over again. I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate that support. And those of you who are new, welcome. And if you're new today, please just type in new before your comments, just so we know who's new and who's been here before. I recognize a lot of the familiar faces here, and I'll say hi to everybody in a moment. But I always welcome new people. So welcome to all my gearhead friends. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you guys are healthy and happy, because without health and happiness, what really is there, right? I mean, that's what really matters. I think now that we're kind of hopefully getting over this whole COVID situation, hopefully the horizon is a lot brighter for a lot of you guys. And in general, things are going really well. Talking about health, I'm on a diet. What do you guys care, right? I mean, what does that have to do with gear and guitars? But I just wanted to mention that because I'm proud of myself. I've actually taken the steps to say enough is enough. I was on the verge of hitting, well, I actually hit 230, which is not healthy at all. And I usually, before COVID was, I'm not going to say I was in top shape, but I was well under that. And every day I was gaining more weight. And this whole COVID thing, the stress, a whole bunch of stuff that goes along with it didn't help. I'm a stress eater. I eat when I'm stressed. I eat when I'm bored. So I'm eating most of the time. And honestly, I didn't feel good. And I said to myself, enough is enough. So I decided to be a little bit more strict with myself. I'm not really limiting myself. I'm just like being more aware of what I'm eating and tallying up the calories, so to speak. But I'm not really limiting myself. I'll have whatever I want, but I'll try and be a little bit more, organized. And I think I already dropped like 7 pounds in the last 10 days, which is kind of weird because that seems like a lot. But whatever, it's working, so I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to try and hit a good, healthy weight and, drop a few pounds. It couldn't hurt. I feel better already, and I sleep better, and hey, it's good for me, right? So I'll check in from time to time and give you an update on how much I'm losing. Not that you really care. It's not Weight Watchers, but hey, moral support, right? Cheers, guys. Okay, so let's say hi to the guys that are already here. Cushman, good morning. Keith, good morning from you. You know what? Everybody seems to be talking about this heat wave. It's crazy heat apparently in the States. I'm not really aware of what's going on because I'm in Canada, so I know it's like super humid here today, so I could only imagine what you guys are going through. But Keith says 114 degree heat wave. That's crazy, man. 114? Wow. I mean, I can't imagine what you do on a day with heat like that besides like, stand naked in front of your air conditioner or hit the stores and get into the freezer section there with your shorts on or something. That's crazy, man. I feel sorry for the people that have to work outside with that kind of heat. 45 Celsius. So yeah, that's more my language. 45 is crazy. Like when you're hitting the high 30s, that's already nuts. But 45, I don't know what's going on, but I definitely think there's something happening right now because everybody's talking about the same thing no matter what. Crazy heat wave. So hopefully that'll pan out and rain will come down and things will cool off, hopefully. Stay safe, guys. So Rico's here. Good morning. Cushman, good morning. Wayne says he's also hot in British Columbia. So it's not just the States. I don't know what the temperature, I mean here, honestly guys, the temperatures, I hate to be the party pooper, but I think the temperature here is, what's it going to be today? It's going to be, the hottest it's going to get today is 31. But we're expecting rain, so I don't know what that means. But we're actually expecting rain Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So the next week or so is just water. So hopefully that's the same for you guys and you'll be cooling off. Stay inside and play guitar. That's great advice, Keith, and I would say exactly that. So for those of you who are new to the show today, I just want to give you a little rundown as to what we're about, because from my intro there, you probably would think this is a weight loss show, which it isn't, or a weather show, which it isn't. So Addicted to Gear is all about gear. So guitars, as you can see from the one I'm holding here, the ones behind me, guitars, amps, pedals, everything related to music in general. That's what Addicted to Gear is all about. So if you're new to the show and you have any gear-related questions, that's why we're here. If you've seen any of my videos that I've put out recently and you have any questions regarding any of them, Sunday is a perfect time to air those questions, ask them, and I'll answer them. If I don't see your question, because sometimes the questions do go by rather quickly, it's not because I'm trying to ignore you or anything like that. It's just because I didn't see it. So please repost it again. If you want to do a super chat, feel free. That always supports the channel and is much appreciated. And also, if you want to buy any swag, Addicted to Gear swag is available underneath my videos. Today, I'm offering a 15% discount, which is just today. And you can get that by just typing in ATG 70 on your checkout, and you can get some cool t-shirts and swag and stickers and whatever. And that also goes to support the channel, and I appreciate that. So that's basically the recap of what we're all about here today. So in a minute, we'll be talking about new gear, we'll be talking about acquisitions, and a whole bunch of other stuff. There's a poll that I also put out yesterday, which I was asking, and if you didn't already take the poll, maybe you want to take it, and we'll tally up the answers after. But it's the question was, what do you guys prefer? Do you prefer a solid painted guitar where you don't see the wood, or do you prefer a sunburst or natural finish on your guitars where you can actually see the wood? Or maybe you're like me and you like both. But I'd like to hear your opinion. I'm curious to see where people where the interests lie, because I've been doing a lot of guitar refinishing lately, and this is one of them. This is the EVH tribute that I made. And I'm working on another one as well, and I have some other projects going on. So I'm just wondering what you guys feel is more attractive these days. And I know that generally the tastes change over the years depending on who the main artist is. And you know, if there's somebody out there like I don't know, David Gilmour, and he's typically playing a black Strat, or Eric Clapton playing a black Strat, those tend to become more popular. You know, in the days of Stevie Ray Vaughan, obviously he had a beat up, like road worn type Strat. So maybe that one, you know, became a little bit more popular in those days, and things changed back and forth. I used to love my, I started off really liking, really digging just natural finishes on my guitars. I just felt that I needed to see the wood grain, because I wanted to see how the wood was, you know, underneath that paint. Once the guitar is painted, they could put anything. You could have knots in there, you can have filler, you can have whatever. So I figured, for me, if I was spending a lot of money on a guitar, I wanted to see the grain. I wanted to see that I'm getting a nicely matched guitar body. I want to make sure I'm not getting a bunch of pieces glued together. And I was a stickler for the natural finish. Now, not so much. I have a few of those guitars, and I'm gravitating towards opaque, but it all depends. I mean, if it's a Les Paul style guitar, I definitely like the grain. If it's a 335, I like the grain. You know, stuff, I like to see that. If it's, you know, if it's a Strat, I don't really mind as much. And Telecasters, I usually go with a solid color on a Telecaster for some reason, besides the butterscotch. But I generally have a few of both now, so I'm not as picky. But I'm curious to see what you guys think. What do you guys prefer? And while I'm asking and waiting for your answers on that question, I'm just gonna scroll back a little bit and look at a few different comments and questions here that went by. Let's see here. So a few comments on my diet question there too. So I'm going to go back just a little bit. So let's see here. Man, I just that little chit chat, I missed so many comments. So Frat Philosopher says Frankenstein giveaway for the 70th show. I don't have a Frankenstrat. This is not technically a Frankenstrat, right? This is, I don't know what you would call this. I call it a tribute. But I like it too much to give it away. Sorry, guys. Maybe another one. I don't have any great giveaways yet, but I'm working on it. I am working on it. Hey, Gospel of Mark, how's it going, my friend? How are you? Thank you, Alan. Thank you for the 70th anniversary. It's not really a 70th per se. I haven't been around for that long. But I have been on YouTube for over 10 years unofficially. So I was lurking for many years, just putting videos out now and then without an official channel or anything like that. And to be honest with you, I've looked at a few of those old videos. They're cringeworthy. Some of them are pretty bad, I have to say. Pretty poorly recorded. I didn't have very good gear back then, and I was basically just recording everything with a little crappy camera. So I guess I should eventually remake some of those videos and make them better. But some of them have gotten quite a few views over the years, so I just keep it up for posterity and just to remind me how much I sucked. So, BC Rich 581, good morning. Bright and early. Joe McCarthy, good morning. Mark is the Gospel of Mark is watching from breakfast on the water. I'm jealous, Mark. Awesome, awesome. Enjoy, my friend. I wish I was on a beach somewhere too, but not yet. We're technically not. I mean, we could travel in Canada, within Canada, but everywhere you really want to be is kind of like still closed. Like all the activities and stuff are closed, so there's not many places, unfortunately, that we could take advantage of. But hopefully, I'll line up a little vacation soon. I need one. That philosopher says I do fasting. I fast too. I fast between midnight and 8 a.m. usually. Just kidding. No, I honestly I hear the fasting really does work. A lot of people do that, and I was thinking about like skipping breakfast and just going like stopping at 6 p.m. and then going all the way to noon the next day. But I've been losing some weight just like honestly cutting out snacks, just overeating in general, cutting down portions, cutting back soda. Soda will kill you, man. It's drinking. You're basically drinking sugar. That makes a big difference, and I'll keep it up. Then if things slow down, I'll probably up the ante with some other techniques. We'll see, but I'm hoping that I can get down to. It would be great if I can get down to 200. I don't think I can because man, I've never been. The last time I was 200, I probably was in high school. But if I can get down to even 210, I'd be happy with that. Still got a ways to go though. So health and happiness are important, almost as important as guitars. So what have you guys gotten as new toys lately? I know some of you have purchased some cool gear. I keep track of some of you guys, and I know we keep in contact with each other. So I wanna basically hear about that. So Richard is asking me, do you make a certain number of videos each week or just create when the mood strikes? I used to, during COVID, I tried to put out a couple of videos every week. Right now, time is very limited, so I'm squeezing in whatever I can between work and family obligations. So sometimes I don't necessarily put out a video every week. I try. At the same time, I hope you guys saw the video I put out just yesterday regarding the purple Telecaster I built. And if you guys have any questions on that one, please feel free. And actually, last week was Father's Day, so we didn't actually have a Sunday show last week. So I apologize for that, but I figured most of you guys would probably be tied up with some family, and I was doing the same with my dad. You got to appreciate the family when they're still around. They're not getting any younger, so I figured I'd give it a break for last Sunday, but we're back now, and we'll try and keep that Sunday schedule going. So every Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here. All right, so let me just go back here and see what we're looking at in terms of... oh, and by the way, guys, we still don't have an official name for the show. The Sunday show. So if you guys have any suggestions, please feel free to suggest a cool name, because I'm kind of stuck, and I don't have my creative juices flowing, and I can't come up with anything interesting. So, if you have any cool ideas, don't be shy. So BC Rich 581 says people really like the Orvilles, and I've been told that if you're able to find one of their Explorers, that they go for really good money since they didn't make many. I agree. I think the Orvilles are pretty cool guitars, and they're getting more and more sparse, kind of like the Tokais. They're people understand what they're worth these days, and they're looking for alternatives beyond Epiphones. So the Orvilles are a great guitar to buy if you're looking for something that is decent quality and great bang for the buck. Uh, Tokais are the same, and they're getting harder to find. I mean, not real. Okay, sorry, not really harder to find, just harder to find good deals because nowadays they're pretty expensive. The ones that I've seen. Fat Philosopher says, buying and selling to hopefully afford one of your customs. Yeah, buying and selling is the way to do it. I may have a couple of guitars on the chopping block. Alan says, solid colors are my choice. Clear coat only looks unfinished. Are you referring to just a natural finish or a sunburst? Because I agree, if you just put a natural, like a clear coat over natural wood, it looks like they didn't finish it. It looks like the guitar is not complete. I agree. But if you're doing a sunburst or something like that, and that to me looks pretty sexy. I like that. So Fat Philosopher did show me a picture of the Orville, and it looked really sweet. I think there was only a little ding on the back of the neck, but it didn't look like a crack. Unfortunately for him, it was a righty and he's a lefty, but pretty sweet looking guitar if you ask me. I'm a sucker for the guitars that have the Gibson headstock, and the Orville had that. You know, I'm not that much of a fan of guitars that have weird shaped headstocks, and for me, the Gibson headstock is the nicest one when it comes to 3 and 3. So I tend to look for guitars that are maybe not identical, but pretty close to that. And for some reason, I'm still not bonding with the Epiphone headstock. It's a big change. They made great improvements over the other one, the older style one, which to me was not very attractive. The new one's better, but I still feel like they just missed the mark. I don't know why they wouldn't just make it the same as a Gibson and just put Epiphone on it and be done with it. I mean, Fender does that with the Squires. What's the big deal? You know, I think they're saving that for another like a rendition. You know, when sales drop again, they're gonna come out with another Epiphone model, and it's gonna be the exact same headstock as the Gibson, and everybody's gonna want those guitars. You know, I don't know. I can't explain why they wouldn't do that, but to me, a lost opportunity for sales. So Cohen says he's proud of himself because he didn't buy anything for 2 weeks. And now he knows how it feels to be in rehab. Yeah, well, I technically didn't buy anything in the last little while either, but I have been building projects. So that's how I find these loopholes when you don't really want to spend money, but you're still kind of building guitars. I think that keeps the mind busy. And the great thing about building your own guitars is that you usually, if you're spending money on it, you're doing it a little bit at a time. So it's not as much of an impact. You know, so you'll buy, let's say, tuning keys here or a bridge there, or spend some money on some paint or whatever. So it's, not it's not a big amount of money. So you don't see it as much, and it's spread out over time. So it kind of feels like you didn't spend that much money on it. You still do, because at the end of the day, it still adds up. But it just feels like because it's spread out, it's like a payment plan. You're spending 30, 40 bucks here and there. And at the end of a couple of weeks or a month or whatever, you end up with a great guitar. So that's how I like to do it. BC Rich has been trying to sell gear, getting good prices on smaller pieces, pedals, and small combos mainly. I have quite a few things that I'm looking at possibly putting online as well. I don't have a reverb store or anything like that. Maybe I should actually put one up. I don't know if it's really worth it. I like just to sell local, but there's a few pedals I have that I probably want to sell. There's some outboard gear and some other miscellaneous things, and a couple of guitars that I'm considering maybe putting on the chopping block that I haven't been playing all that much lately. But I haven't really decided yet. I'm gonna wait. It's always good to sleep on a decision like that if you're considering selling anything. Just sleep on it. Otherwise, you might just regret it. Um, so Fat Philosopher now is doing some brokerage in terms of Tokai. So if you guys are looking for any Tokai guitars from Japan or made in Korea versions, just contact him. He'll hook you up. He's always got his eyes open, which is cool. Hey Paul, no worries, 11 minutes late. It's okay, no, I'm not keeping track, man. It's all good, it's all good. Richard says he sold 2 guitars last week and an MG300. So you finally got rid of it. Why did you get rid of your MG300? I thought you liked it. Are you upgrading to something else, something better, or have you just thrown in the towel for a multi-effects unit and gone back to pedals? Quicksilver says Schecter is doing their own Black Beauty for lefties. Solo 2 Custom looks great. It's always fantastic for the left-handed players when companies are just putting out a few more lefty models. I always feel like the left-handed players are kind of shunned in terms of selection. Seth says, I don't see the polls. I put the poll in YouTube, so you should see it there on my channel somewhere, possibly within the community section or something. It's there. I know it is. I know a lot of people have already taken the poll. So Larry's like me. He likes both the wood grain and solid colors. And if I had to count my guitars and figure out how many of each, let me just do a quick. These are not all my guitars, but let me just do a quick one. So transparent, transparent, opaque, opaque, transparent, opaque, 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 transparent, opaque, transparent, opaque, and transparent. So of the ones that are here, and there's another one there on the floor, you can't see it, that's also opaque, and then there's a few more. So I'm going to say probably the opaque is leading the transparent ones right now for me. So I'm going to have to get a couple more to balance things out. So Jack's got a question. So I have a chance to get a Marshall 100 MG half stack for $300. Is it worth it? What are you playing now, Jack? Marshalls are great. They're not all made the same. If you're really not looking at buying anything too expensive, it could be a good buy for you. It depends on what you already have and what you're aiming for and what sound you're going after. Give me a little bit more background, please, so I can answer that question a little bit more accurately. I always, BC Rich says, I've always hated any guitar finished in Dayglow colors. I can deal with anything else, never liked red much also. That's funny because I think a lot of people actually, I think red is probably one of the most popular colors. I'd be curious to see what the most popular color is. I guess it depends on the type of guitar, but for a Strat, I'm going to say probably red, black. I know there's not that many. There's maybe less people that like white. Alan says I've been overweight all my life. Yeah, it's kind of hard to break the cycle, isn't it? I mean, I've been overweight most of my life too. I'm not gonna say I was obese, but definitely pudgy. And I love to eat, so it's one of those things. It's really hard. That's probably one of the biggest challenges that most people have to deal with is weight. Um, and it's funny, just going back to this for a minute. It's funny because I've seen pictures, photos of, the 50s, the 60s. People, everyone was thin, and it's crazy. Like these pictures are, I think the pictures were uh, in the States somewhere, some kind of a parade or something. And honestly, everyone is thin. There's not one fat person in the bunch. And today, totally the opposite. So something's gone wrong. I think industry is really putting a stick in our spoke when it comes to being healthy, and we have to take matters back into our own hands. It's crazy. So did I name my new Telecaster Danish Pete? I didn't, and that is something that I wanted to actually talk about a little bit today. Is do you guys name your guitars? Because I always thought that was kind of weird, to be honest. Especially if you only have a couple of guitars, why bother naming them? The Fender, the Gibson, the PRS. You don't need to name them. But uh, it dawned on me that when you start having a bigger collection and multiples, you have to kind of name them because if you have 3 or 4 Strats, well, then you have to say, well, give me the made in Japan Strat, black one or the red one or the sunburst one. Whereas if you give it a name, that's a lot easier. But granted, the other person needs to know what the name is too. So I don't know how effective that could be, but it's definitely cool. Makes you feel like a rock star. Thank you, Fat Philosopher. I really am proud of the way the purple Telecaster came out. It really sounds great, and I have to say, although the video was okay, showcasing the sound of that guitar, I find that the sound that I was getting was a little bit harsh, and it's just the way it was recorded. It's actually not that cutting in real life, but it definitely has punch. So I'm gonna probably do another video specifically for the pickups. So the Peg City pickups that were in that guitar, the TC 204s. I want to make a video showcasing a few more sounds specifically for that pickup, and I'll try and get a better recording, but I can't guarantee it. I'm not a pro at mixing sounds and stuff like that with my limited technology that I have here. I do the best that I can with GarageBand and basic one mic setup, nothing too crazy. So a lot of times, I can capture a good recording. Sometimes when listening back, though, it sounds good in my monitors here, in my headphones, but then when I uploaded it to YouTube, it's kind of different. A lot of people have ordered those classic vibes from Andertons, and Fat Philosopher says it's arriving in January. Man, who the hell wants to wait till January? That's a long time to wait for an order, man. But I'm sure it's going to be great once you get it. It's just like so frustrating that it takes so long. Ed says he's still loving his Epiphone Les Paul. He's had it for 2 months, sounds and plays awesome. When you have a good guitar and you really like, every time you pick it up, it just makes you want to play more. That's the best feeling in the world. It really is. It's just keep on playing and you just feel like you can play better and you sound better. I don't know if it's more of a psychological thing, but whatever it is, I love that feeling. Alan says, I've asked Tony to make you a left-handed purple Telecaster. It probably wouldn't be that difficult to do. And honestly, guys, I encourage you guys to build your own guitars if you can. It's really not that difficult with Telecasters and Stratocasters because they're like Legos. They basically fit together. You can just, as long as you buy the proper parts, not a big deal. And if you don't like finishing your own guitar, there's a lot of guitar bodies out on eBay that are already finished. You can find them in almost any color you want. Just put it together yourself and learn a few things along the way. That's what I did. They weren't all great at the beginning. You learn a lot of things. You learn what to avoid. But then after a while, you know what to look for. And you can avoid the gotchas. Buying bridges that don't fit. A lot of people will buy a body that is not already drilled for the components. And if you're a beginner, you can mess it up. So I would say, get a body that's already drilled so that you can just buy the proper bridge and drop it in there. You don't have to worry about measuring the location of the holes and making sure the neck is straight and the bridge aligns properly. It's already done for you. These are little things that end up getting you early on. So we have a few names coming in. Morning gear talk. Yeah, coffee, weed, and gear. I like that one. Fat Philosopher suggests Sunday gear studs. Yeah, we can use that. That's cool. Yeah, Orvilles are at least 23 years old. Older guitars are the best. Honestly, I think the reason why the older guitars have such mojo is just because they've matured. And I know a lot of people might not agree with me on that, but I honestly think that when you have a piece of wood that is older, it's stabilized. The moisture has evaporated. Whatever sap was in there has either crystallized or evaporated. It's technically not going to warp anymore, shouldn't crack anymore, and it just sounds better in my opinion. And I know a lot of people are going to argue with me and say, here we go again with the tone wood argument, and I don't want to get into an argument, but honestly, that's my opinion. I'm sticking with it. Why weed? Are we catering to the 16-year-old demographic? Well, I don't know. Here in where I live, it's more than just 16-year-olds smoking the stuff. So who knows? Let me scroll down to the last comments. I'm feeling like I'm always 3 or 4 steps behind here. So Vox says a friend of mine made his own guitar pretty much from scratch in woodworking class in high school. It's doable. It's definitely doable. Look at Brian May. I mean, he built his own guitar with his dad, and he's been playing that guitar for ages. I think he even wound his own pickups, which that must have been a challenge. And I agree with Joe. Joe, you're absolutely right. Most guitars are only a good setup away from great playing guitars. Absolutely true. So many times I've seen people that are not able to set up their own guitars give up on a perfectly good instrument just because it didn't play well because of the setup. I've actually taken advantage of these scenarios in the past when buying used gear, and it was obvious that was the issue. I mean, and it's a shame because if the person wouldn't know how to set up their own guitars, they wouldn't have to sell their guitar. One of the PRS guitars that I have was exactly that. I went there, a young fellow. The guitar had strings on it that were obviously not meant for the nut slots that were cut in the nut. They were not even sitting in the nut slot. They were totally too high, because they were sitting over the nut slots. You know, like they weren't inside. So the action was crazy high. The intonation obviously was off. You had buzzing. Um, you know, you couldn't fret the guitar properly. I mean, it took me one look to realize that was the issue. And you know, he was selling the guitar because obviously he didn't bond with it, and no wonder. So I took it home, I bought it, I adjusted it, and it's one of my favorite guitars. So it's a shame. You know, that's why I encourage people to learn how to work on your own guitars and learn how to set up your own guitars. Honestly, it's like a gold mine when you learn the tricks, and it's not that hard. It really isn't. So Richard says he liked the NUX MG300 since the screen is so small and the MG30 is out now. I traded to Guitar Center to help buy a C1 Schecter guitar. So that's a good, I mean, that's a good use of reclaimed cash, right? Just put it towards your next purchase and just keep the cycle going. I'm still curious about the MG30. I haven't been able to get my hands on one. I know there was a shortage, and I haven't seen many in my neck of the woods, but I'd like to try one eventually. So here a comment says, want a double bound body with a solid rosewood neck and either I can't speak, Texas Special or Dillon pups. I have a little gas right now for a black double bound Telecaster body. You know, with cream binding on both sides. And it would be great to go with something like black and gold. I'm thinking gold hardware would look sweet. The only thing with black, especially on a Telecaster that's completely flat, it's like a mirror. And you know, you just look at it and there's smudges on it. I sold one of my Harley Benton Telecasters because of that. It had a dark one. If you go back in my videos, you'll see it. And it was just always smudged. So that is the only reason why I'm hesitating to go black on a Telecaster. So Seth says that Eden bodies are pretty fantastic. American Alder, nicely finished, shipped you for 120 bucks in the US. It's a great place to start. If you're learning how to put kits together, you can definitely get one of those for not too much money. Quicksilver says he canceled his order because he didn't want to wait until January 2022 for his Squire. I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you. I don't like waiting for anything anymore. I'm just like that. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I think we're trained nowadays to get instant gratification for everything. So nobody likes to wait. Ron Kim makes Telecasters from 100-year-old barn boards, and they sound fabulous out of the gate. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Well, the purple Telecaster, I don't know if you're aware, is also 100-year-old reclaimed wood. So I'm loving it. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it sounds great to me. Quicksilver says, I hate how Anderton's charges you up front for the full price, unlike Thomann, that don't bill you until the guitar ships. Yeah, that's not right. I didn't know that. I wouldn't go for that. Like, I know why they're doing that. They're bankrolling the series. They're bankrolling the line, right? They're going to pay for it up front, put the order in, and then they're going to get it. But I mean, they're basically sitting on your cash probably for like, you know, half a year, getting interest. Yeah, that's a little bit not that great, I gotta say. Paul says, Tony, I have a Dollarama headphone, $5 Canadian, and your site has better sound. And your site has better sound is great. I get all the sound from lows to highs, and their harmonics do not get muddied or smeared. Wow, amazing. For $5, I gotta say, you probably lucked out on that one. It's amazing what you can find. The earbuds that I reviewed in one of my last videos, honestly, I'm not bullshitting you guys. They're good, and they're like $35, wireless and everything. And I use them every day, and they sound great. So there's still some deals out there, guys. It's just that you have to really find them, but they're there. So who else has gotten new gear? I mean, you guys are not really piping in much. I'm a little disappointed, I gotta say. Um, so Mike says for the Telecaster build, you went for traditional controls, albeit with the angled switch. Does your red road-worn player Telecaster have the reverse controls with volume first? What is your opinion on that? So to answer the first part of your question, yeah, I went for traditional controls more or less, because if you watch the videos, it kind of goes by really quick, but the controls are from Gun Street, and they're not really traditional because, first of all, the switch is a four-way switch, not a three-way. So I do have the ability to pop up the volume knob for a out of phase between the neck and the bridge. Not really traditional. At the same time, there is a treble bleed in that, so when I lower down the sound, it doesn't get muddy. It stays pretty clean. And obviously the angled switch, that's something that I'm digging. I like the angled switch. I'm not a big fan of the reversed controls on a Telecaster. I'm just accustomed to having them in the usual place. So I don't remember if my red road worn was flipped originally. It might have been, and I think I flipped it back. But that one also had a humbucker in the bridge. Sorry, not in the bridge, in the neck. I think it was a 59 in the neck position, and I removed that, went back to a traditional Telecaster bridge and neck pickup. And the pot on that guitar, because it had a humbucker in the neck position, was an in-between value. It wasn't a 250, I think it was a 350 or something like that, or a 375. It was kind of in between the 250 and the 500. So I went back and changed that, and it's more traditional now, and I like it better that way. I'm not a huge fan of humbuckers on a Telecaster because I feel that the whole point of a Telecaster is to get that cut. And when you're going with a humbucker in the neck position, you're kind of muddying things up again. And when you're playing in a live situation, I don't think the humbucker works that well to cut through. That's why I love Telecasters. They cut well, they cut through so well in the mix. So I try to stick with that. Hope that answers your question. Paul says that in the 50s he spent a really huge amount of money on testing and experimenting with tone woods, and used that designing new models. Either they knew what they were doing, or they were lucky morons. Not sure if I follow what you're saying. So I think you're saying that it wasn't always up to good quality woods, combination of things, I guess, set apart a good guitar from a bad guitar. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Paul. That's what I understood from your comment there. So Seth sold 3 custom bills this week. Awesome, Seth. That's great, man. Hey, the word's getting out. That's how it starts, man. Keep at it. I'd love to check out one of your custom builds eventually. Amanda Combs says, I'm a bit obsessed with my Bose. The sound is so good. I don't know if I could go back to anything else. If it isn't broken, why change, Amanda? I mean, I know Bose has a very good reputation for sound. I'm not going to say they're the flattest sounding headphones, if we are talking about headphones here, but they do sound great, I have to say, especially the noise canceling. It really, you feel like, your ear sounds like it feels like your ears are getting sucked in or something when that noise canceling is on, which is great to drown out any kind of noise, between the kids and everybody else. So Fat Philosopher's on a rampage. He bought 2 guitars this week. He sold another one. And so congratulations on the Strat. I know that one of them was the Strat because you showed me that picture. Awesome looking guitar. Reversed. So it's a righty converted to a lefty. A la Hendrix. So that gives you that Hendrix vibe. And I'm wondering, you let me know if this is true or not, Fat Philosopher, but because now the bridge pickup is slanted the other way around. People say that was kind of what gave Hendrix that tone with the reverse strings. Let me know if you hear a difference. I'm curious. I never tried that myself. Yeah, I agree that it's frustrating when highly reviewed gear is always in short supply. The MG40 will be out before we can buy the MG30. Yeah, I think they may have unfortunately missed the boat with that one because people are excited, they want to buy it, they can't buy it. Eventually, they just buy something else, with the money that they intended to use for that piece of equipment, and then companies like Newegg suffer, unfortunately. But what can you do? Joe says he received an Eastman Romeo LA yesterday. It sounds great, but I'm not 100% sold yet. So what don't you like about it? Those Eastman guitars look great, man. I haven't had the opportunity to try one, but they look great. What are you not convinced about? Just curious, Joe. Wayne says he's working on a 70s Raven RAS20 hollow body in a nice burst, in great shape from a guy who had it since new. Love that, Wayne. I mean, those are the days we live for, right? You end up buying a cool guitar that you can make great. Probably got a great deal on it too, right? And those older guitars are fantastic. The 70s guitars, they're great. Picked up a Gretsch. Love it. It's orange, so I keep thinking rockabilly when I pick it up. Yeah, that definitely, that orange on the Gretches is definitely rockabilly. You can always pinstripe it, or get somebody to pinstripe it for you. Give it a little bit more mojo. That always looks cool on the Gretches. So Paul's telling me to go to Dollarama and buy the big red plastic headphones. They've stocked them for years. You can do a review. Okay, big red headphones. It's in the file. Next time I'm at Dollarama, I'm going to take your word for it, Paul. You know which headphones really are so underrated is the Koss Sport headphones. Those really ugly ones that have like little round external buds that fold up and they have this really ugly metallic bands. They cost about $59, or maybe they're more expensive now. Those headphones are freaking amazing. And the thing is, they've been selling the same model headphones for years, right? They look so retro because they haven't updated the look, and I don't know why they haven't, but they haven't. But those headphones kick ass. And the thing is, because they also have a lifetime warranty. So you spend 50, 60 bucks on them or whatever it is. But if anything goes wrong, you send them in, they send you a brand new pair. So you basically have new headphones forever, right? And I've had those headphones in my collection. The foam has fallen apart, it's degraded because I've had them for so long, but they sound friggin' amazing. So if any of you see those, trust me, try them. You'll be blown away. So I can't give you my thoughts on the NUX MG30 Fast Philosopher because I can't get my hands on one. I've been trying to get one. It looks cool. I really want to try it. It looks like it's a cool unit. It looks like it's well made. I'm pretty sure the sounds are going to be good because the other ones are great. The MG300 to me sounds very good, and it's, in my opinion, an early model, so they probably would have made it better. I'm looking forward to trying one out. I'm still going to try and get one, but I don't know when. It's up in the air right now. There's none for sale. That's exactly it. There's none. I think it's the shortage of the chips, the microchips, that just put a damper on the production of these things. That's the thing about Bose. Bose to me, the sound is good, but it's kind of like it's like the Cadillac of headphones in the sense that they've dampened the highs and the lows like that. So you're kind of living in the mid, but they still sound good. And for traveling, for using them on a plane and stuff like that, the noise canceling is probably the best you're going to get. So John says the backward strat thing is a pain. Well, I kind of agree. I'm not a big fan of the reverse headstock, but I do have a guitar coming in that has the reverse headstock. It's a surprise. I don't want to spoil it. It's just, suffice it to say, it's a brand that I've never actually seen here before, and it's a brand new brand that I wanted to try out. So that guitar is on the way. Unfortunately, it does have a reverse headstock, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to like that, but I'm going to try to get comfortable with it again. I don't know why people do that. It's just odd in terms of purposely putting a reverse headstock on a guitar. I understand if you're going a left to a right, you have no choice, but I wouldn't necessarily opt for one of those. Amanda says there are Bose Sport wireless earbuds with a neck tether, so you don't drop them. The quick connection and fast, long-lasting charge is a big bonus. Yeah, I agree. I just wish they were more affordable. The Sport ones are the smaller ones, if I'm not mistaken. And I think I have a pair of those, really, the smaller ones. They don't have the noise canceling, but they do sound good, and they're comfortable on the ear. The pads are made in such a way that they kind of already block some of the sound, but they're not noise canceling per se. So Joe says he's gotten used to having access to the upper frets, and it feels weird only having easy access up through the 19th fret. So what were you playing before, Joe? Were you playing an SG? Is that why you have access all the way up? It, I could understand that. I could understand the limit, the way you feel limited if you can't get up to the higher frets. I agree. Um, I say it over and over again. If you really don't bond with the neck, you're not going to bond with the guitar. So if you feel this way already, Joe, I have a feeling that guitar is probably going to go back. So Dan of New Jersey says, I have on order the new Dunlop Mini Wah Q with auto return. I want to save space on my board, but I'm not sure that I trust the auto return to get a natural position. May change to an older Q model. I was thinking the same thing on those wah pedals myself, because wah pedals, as everyone knows, are massive. They do take a lot of space on your board. I've been downsizing my board, and I've been trying to stay away from larger pedals that are big for no reason, because nowadays you can make a pedal quite small. So I saw those wah pedals. They look cool, but um, I don't know. I have a great wah pedal here, and I don't want to switch out for the little one. But it would be great to save space on the board. I don't always bring the wah pedal with me. Don't always have it plugged in. But when I want it, I have the one that's full size, and I'll use that. Yeah, it's hard to say what from your Fat Philosopher wants to know what shade of white. Um, yeah, it's hard to tell in photos, especially white, because white, in different light looks so different. Same as purple. Like sometimes my purple Telecaster will look blue in certain light and a lot darker in other light. It's hard to tell from a photo, but I'm gonna say it's definitely looks like a cream color to me. I'm not gonna say yellow, but there's definitely, from what I can tell in the picture, some cream in there. Okay, so now I understand better, Paul. You were referring to Gibsons. Okay. Cool that you have your. It's cool that you have your hands on that on those photocopies. Interesting. I love to see that. Reverse headstocks make it a headache to maintain proper intonation, and the string break angle is hard. Yeah, I could see that. And having the low E string be the furthest now, I wonder if that causes any weird overtones. We're going to find out, because I have a guitar coming in like that. That's a good point, John. The reverse headstock is not the problem. Why do people who whine about reverse headstocks don't have a problem with half of their Les Paul? Yeah, that's true. You have a great point. Half of a Les Paul, but I mean, three is better than six. I don't know. It's just a pain, right? Because you're winding things backwards. With auto wall, yeah, you do get some creative juices flowing when you're playing with those type of pedals. The same as when you're playing with a delay or modulation, that kind of thing. You just put in a crazy delay time and just play, and some crazy ideas pop up. That's how some of the creative inspiration comes about with these artists. They just look at the edge. I mean, he doesn't play guitar; he plays his effects more than anything. Hey, Mark FX, good morning. Now that we have a few more people here, just type in new if you happen to be new, relatively new to the channel. I'm just curious who's new here and who's not. John says my backward strat neck dives too because it has large CBS headstock and the strap button lines up with the 15th instead of the 12th fret, messes up with the balance. Maybe you need lighter strap buttons or something like that. So one of the things I wanted to talk about and ask you actually is just what are you guys listening to these days in terms of music? We often talk about instruments, we talk about guitars, but I'm curious what kind of musical tastes we have going on here in the in the chat. Like, what are you guys listening to? Are you more classic rock? Are you metalheads? Combination of both? I think a lot of you guys are older, like me, so possibly classic rock might be more what's being listened to, but I could be wrong. Type in what you listened to last. I'm just curious. What's the last, I almost said album. What's the last song that you listened to? That you actually, not on the radio, that you actually wanted to listen to? Gary Clark Jr. Interesting. Okay, cool. That's a nice selection. Anybody else? I can tell you what I'm listening to these days. I'm more of a classic rock type of guy, but I do listen to modern stuff as well. But I actually enjoy more of the behind the scenes, behind the music type documentaries. That's what I'm really into these days. Just learning what went on, in the past. And I found myself. I mean, I'm a big Led Zeppelin fan. I like, Zeppelin for sure. Uh, Even like bands like the Black Rose. I like them, even though they were a train wreck of a band. But so I've been listening to a lot of stuff like that. So Dan's listening to AC/DC. Larry's listening to Dokken, Lynch. Cohen's back, but he's not telling us what he's listening to. Joe likes the blues, but he's beginning to like jazz a bit more melodic jazz. Mammoth, yeah, that's a good album. Fat Philosopher listening to Melina Moy, Nova Twins, Police. I like the Police. Thrash metal. Mark is listening to classic rock. Van Halen, I'm a big Van Halen fan as well. Charles, classic rock and the blues. Vox is listening to classic rock, old school country. So we got quite a lot of different genres of music here. Cool. Mark likes Muscle Shoals, great documentary. Yeah, I watched that one. That is a great documentary. Really good. I like that. The funny thing is, if you're into Zeppelin, if you like Jimmy Page specifically, the stuff that he put out with the Black Crowes, there's a video that was recorded at the Greek. Amazing stuff. I mean, not just Jimmy Page, but the whole Black Crowes band playing a selection of their own tunes as well as Zeppelin tunes blew me away. This was quite a few years ago. Jimmy Page still had dark hair and he had a little bit of a pot. Talking about being overweight, he was kind of overweight there. I'm recording right now. So basically, that video was kind of an interesting retrospective in terms of the musicians that I really like to listen to. And the cool thing was that when I watched the video where they were talking about the the whole Shake Your Money Maker album that ended up selling 5 million copies. Did you know that they actually sold the rights to the music and basically got like a really, really terrible deal for $5,000? They sold that away. So they were technically not making any money with that album, Shake Your Money Maker, that ended up selling 5 million copies. And then later on, the company was, I think, basically forgot to renew, so they actually ended up getting out of the contract and renegotiating and actually getting their money. And that was like the beginning of a series of like disastrous things that happened to that poor band. But playing with Jimmy Page, I mean, they were actually on tour with Jimmy Page. That for me would be a dream come true. Could you imagine standing on stage playing a Led Zeppelin song, looking over, and there's Jimmy Page? You're playing with Jimmy Page. That would be like, I could die happy. I could die a happy man, knowing that, I'm on stage with Jimmy Page. And actually the vocals were very strong, the drums, the whole band was really, really good. If you watch that, I'm surprised they never actually released that recording as a video. I know they made a recording of it, but they never released the video, and it's a shame because the video on YouTube is good, but it's not the best. I'd love to see that stuff like well recorded. And the sad part, I mean, obviously, maybe you know the story behind the Robinson brothers. Basically, the singer and the guitarist of the Black Crowes were constantly fighting with each other. Obviously, singer's on drugs, guitarist doesn't do drugs. There's a whole bunch of turmoil and tension, and basically the band was falling apart. But when they actually got a chance to play with Jimmy Page, they had an opportunity to really, get a lot more people to notice them. They blew it, because the story goes that the guitarist one day was approached by Jimmy Page, who asked him, look, I have a couple of songs, I'd love to record them with you. And he basically blew off Jimmy Page and said, well, no thanks, we have enough songs, we don't need any more. So Jimmy Page took offense, walked away. Just that ended right then and there. No more Jimmy Page. Could you imagine how devastating that would be? I mean, oh man. Anyways, the drummer in the band now has a book that I'd be very interested in reading. His perspective on the entire, Black Crowes timeline. If I can get my hands on that book, I'll probably pick it up. I'm very curious about these things. It's funny, he actually had a good story about napping with Jimmy Page. This is the drummer now, where he would say, like, as the drummer, he would often just like an hour before going on stage, he'd just like take a nap, take like a half-hour nap or an hour nap, just to kind of clear the mind. And he tells a story about Jimmy Page being really worked up. He would still get excited, and before going on stage, he'd be like, almost, the adrenaline's flowing, right? So Jimmy Page is like, how do you do that? How do you like nap before, a show? And he convinced him to try it and say, look, hey, try it out. You're going to see. You're going to be a new man. You're going to play better. So Jimmy Page and him were like, go into this, dressing room and basically take a nap together. And then they walk out. They see Jimmy Page walk out, and the drummer walks out, and they're like, what are you guys doing in there? And it's like, well, we just took a nap. Could you imagine telling your kids that story? I used to take a nap with Jimmy Page. Crazy stuff. I'm sure these guys have crazy stories. Crazy stories. But unfortunately, I think the drugs just, like somebody once said, you can, taking drugs is like sleeping on broken glass. You can do it, but eventually you're going to get hurt. So I think that's what ended up happening. But I think right now they're reunited. Maybe they put their arguments aside. Maybe they ran out of money. Who knows? But I think they're back at it. The brothers are back at it. So that's good to see. Hopefully, maybe some new music will come out of it. That's pretty cool. But this is the kind of stuff that I like. I like the behind the scenes type stories like that. I'm a big fan of Eddie Van Halen, and one of the stories that I want to share with you guys that you might not know is that the Frankenstrat almost disappeared. It almost got stolen. And I'll tell you the story very quickly. Back in the day, Van Halen would pull into a city. The buses would, park at a luxurious hotel. They'd get a suite or a couple of suites or the entire floor. They would go in there. They would sleep there, do whatever they had to do, and eventually be on their way to the next city. So as this was going on, somebody, a big fan of theirs, was kind of stalking them and hoping that they'd be able to get a glimpse of Eddie or Dave or any of the other band members. So they were like kind of stalking the hotel, and eventually they see some of the members coming out some of the side door. So they're obviously so happy and elated to see their heroes and meet them finally. So Eddie comes out, he runs out of the hotel room, goes to the bus, and he's got a key to the bus, and he's trying to get into the bus, and he can't get in. Obviously, he's got the wrong key, right? So he's trying to open the door, and he's like pissed off and swearing and stuff. And then these kids, pull up to him behind him, and like he looks back and he's like, "What the fuck do you guys want?" Like he doesn't realize they're fans. So then he feels bad when he realizes that they're fans, right? So he's like, "Oh, sorry, do you want anything? Do you want anything from me, like an autograph or something?" The guys don't even have a pencil or a pen or anything, so they can't ask for any autograph. Anyway, so he runs back into the hotel room. So at this point, they're kind of like waiting for him to come out again. So they see the bellhop, rolling one of those carts that they normally have the suitcases on, right? So this guy is probably like 90. He's probably been working at this hotel his entire life. He probably doesn't even know who Eddie Van Halen is, right? So he rolls out this cart, and in there is a guitar case and a small box, right? And he just leaves it there. This is like the middle of the night. It's probably like 1:30, 2 a.m. in the morning. He leaves it there on the carpet, the red carpet coming out of the door, and goes out and I think maybe goes and get another cart or something. So the two kids are standing there, right? And it dawns on them like this is probably Eddie's guitar, right? So they're looking at each other and they're like, what do we do? And there's like groupies and stuff coming out of the hotel room and stuff like that. So this thing could have just easily disappeared, right? So they're kind of like going up to the guitar and they're grabbing it because they don't want it to disappear. Then Eddie Van Halen comes out and he's like, "Hey, what the hell are you guys doing?" He's thinking they're going to take off with his guitar. And then they're trying to explain to him what happened. The guy walked away and the guitar is just there, and so Eddie's like, "Oh, well, thank you so much." Like he realized that they weren't trying to walk away with the guitar, and he offered to have them play the guitar. So this guy actually opened up the case, took out the guitar, right then and there on the red carpet entrance in the middle of the night, took the guitar and started playing it. And he commented on how the action was a lot higher than he expected to have on his guitar, and he got an opportunity to play the Frankenstrat, and that guitar could have easily disappeared that night and been gone forever. And how much do you think that guitar would be probably worth today if it went up for auction? Considering how much Eddie probably paid for that guitar. You know what I mean? That guitar probably ended up costing him like a couple of $100. And probably today, if it would go up for auction, would probably definitely be in the six figures. So, just crazy stories like that. I love those kind of stories because you don't get to hear those every day. Yeah, for sure, Cohen, drugs. I mean, touring is boring. It's partying. You're in a different city every day. You're doing the same thing in a different city. That doesn't mess your mind up. Same crowd that you hang around with if you're hanging out with roadies and groupies and whatever. Different city, same routine, different place, different hotel room. It'll mess you up. Vox Guitars is asking if there's no puppy today. She's right here. She's just there. She's just not snoring, so you can't hear her. But she's here. Ian says drugs are bad unless from a doctor or pharmacist. I don't know, even Ian, even those drugs. Have you ever read the side effects? I don't know, man. Hey, Landon, nice to see you, buddy. So it's hot there too? What's going on? We're expecting rain all week. So, but it's not that hot today. It's humid, but it's not super hot compared to some of the others here that are claiming it's 114 degrees. Yeah, exactly. The crippling drug addictions, Chris Robertson being a prima donna, and the brothers fighting had more to do with all the Crow's issues than a bad record deal. Absolutely. The record deal is just like the first bad thing. I mean, that's the first record they came out with, which ended up being probably one of their best records, and they basically signed that away for $5,000. You know, that's a 5 million album selling piece of work there. So if that's not bad luck, I don't know what is. So Paul says, I only got to read the Gibson info years ago. That was in the possession of three disgruntled Gibson Kalamazoo employees. They have since passed. They were on Xerox 914 copier prints. Long story. Interesting. I'd love to hear that story, Paul. Yeah, exactly, Jeff. Jimi Hendrix played music with the Isley Brothers, true. He also played in a big band scenario at one point. I saw pictures of that. So, speaking of Van Halen, one of the other projects I have going on right now is the 5150 project. Let me show you that. Let me put this guitar down for a second. It's not finished or anything, so don't judge, all right, guys? It's still a work in progress. So, what can I show you? It's basically a part, and just to give you a little bit of backstory, I'm in the midst of finishing the clear coat. Next guitar that I'm building. I've always wanted to have a red, white, and black striped EVH guitar, so I ended up doing this. So here's the body. It's still not finished, but I did give it a couple of coats of clear coat. It's coming along nicely. I went out to buy, I was planning, because it was raining today, I was planning on spraying a few more coats of clear so that I could wet sand it and apply some more clear just to finish it all up. Eddie didn't have clear on his guitar. I should have just stopped without the clear, but you feel the rough paint stripe thingies. So I like to have the clear on the guitar. It just makes it feel a little bit more finished. So that's the body. This is the headstock. So the headstock's all ready to go. Well, almost ready to go. Just a dry fit, not necessarily finished. But just to give you an idea of what it's going to look like eventually, let me just see if I can put this in without making any more damage here. It's a very snug fit, guys, so I don't want to chip anything. This neck fits in the pocket so tight, it's beautiful. So there's the guitar. You get an idea what it's going to look like. You guys saw it first here. Obviously, still have to put the Floyd in. Floyd pickup. I haven't decided what I'm going to put in there yet. The neck is treated with wax and gunstock oil. Still have to do a few more coats of that. The back of the neck is free. It's so like smooth now. I went up to 1,500, 2,000 grit paper on it. There's no paint on it. It's just wax and gunstock oil. Beautiful. And so that's it. That's going to be my 5150 version. And when it's finished, I'll do a review for you guys. But it's still a work in progress. So just wanted to show you guys, don't say that you don't get some privileged information from attending the Sunday shows, because you do. Put that there, put that here, and that's that. It's not an exact copy, guys. It's not like, I know a lot of people that build these guitars, they ended up really like making sure every little nick and every little, you know, tape line is the right place, and I don't do that. It's close, but it's not really meant to be an identical copy. Vox, actually the 5150 didn't have the nickel. It's actually a quarter. That's on the Frankenstrat. Thanks, Wayne. I appreciate it. I love doing these projects. Although I did use Duplicolor for this project, I didn't use, what was the other thing? The other brand there. Anyways, the Duplicolor is the car paints, which is a lot more expensive. You're looking at about 18 bucks for a small can. So I had to get the black, the red, the white, which is not actually white, it's off-white, the primer, and the clear coat. So if you're looking at all that, it's like almost 100 bucks a paint right there. But I've been dying to have one of these. I actually built one of these before, quite a few, probably, I'm going to say at least 12, 13 years ago I built one, but it wasn't as good a kit. It was just another guitar that I got, and I kind of made my own version, but it wasn't really the same. This one's a better quality kit, so I think it's going to come out really nice. Yeah, it's my take. It's my take. Exactly, Cohen. I got to wet sand it, so that's going to take a while. But you definitely don't want to wet sand it before you have enough clear coat, because that way you'll just be removing paint. So I think another bottle, another can of clear coat should do the trick. I actually went yesterday. I rushed to the store before closing time to try and get it. I got there just before closing time, went to the aisle, no more. Got in my car, ran over to another store, went to the aisle, no more. So today I'm like, you know, just so frustrating. I know this is due to COVID. You know, they don't have as much inventory or stock, so they get sold out. But I mean, it's so frustrating when you want to finish a project and you can't, because, you know, you can't find the actual materials that you need. But I'm going to take another try today. I'm going to go to a different store and see if I can find something there. I got to finish this project. I'm dying to finish it. BC Rich says, and the broken Les Paul shared pickguard. I'm not sure what you mean by that. If you're referring to the pickguard, the black one, it's not a Les Paul pickguard. It's a Strat pickup that he cut. Yeah, the DuPont colors were used on fenders, but this is Dupla colors, not DuPont. Keith says, how much money do you think you're gonna have in it when you're done? All three last guitars look totally pro. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks, Keith. How much money? I mean, the guitar kit world was not inexpensive. The paint, another $100. If I don't use a pickup that I already have, then probably at least another $100 there. It's gonna cost. I'm gonna say when all is said and done, probably $500-600 around there. I'm in a hurry to finish it going because I want to play it. I just want to play it. It's so close. There's just a few more things that I need, and it's going to be a playable guitar. And I'm just dying to have. I want to build it. So BC Rich says, know the record, the LP shared he used as a pickguard on one of the Frankenstrat. So I don't know. Maybe, you know what? I'm not a pro. All I know is that every single picture that I've seen of his guitars are different. I've been trying to nail down what I should be going after in terms of a paint job. And I realized that every single one of his guitars was different. Every picture I see is not the same guitar. So it's really hard to get a front view and back view of a guitar of his that we know was his and not like a replica. They're all different, and they change over time. So it's really hard. I think it's easier to do the Frankenstrat than the 5150 because the Frankenstrat didn't change all that much. If you paint your guitar black and white like he did, there's clear pictures of that guitar. So you know what the black and white portion is, then you just have to apply the red on top of it. So you can, but it's tricky. It really is tricky. It's easy to mess up. Yeah, Cohen, exactly. You don't build guitars if you want to save money because you don't necessarily save all that much. Well, actually, that's not true. Today, with the prices of guitars going up the way they are, I think you still can save some money if you build them yourself. But I mean, there's more chance of messing it up. So if you're thinking about building something, you got to know what you're doing. Why is my seat slowly going down here? I got to get a new chair, guys. What's going on? I felt like I was shrinking there. But no, the cool thing about building your own guitars is that you build them the way you want, right? And like a guitar like this one, you don't see these every day. You can buy one off the shelf, but they're selling for like $1,000 or more. It's fun building them, and they're unique. It's a one of a kind guitar. Jeff wants to know if anyone ever used a quarter for a guitar pick. I have. Yeah, I did that. It's cool because it does give you that scratchy edge to playing your guitar. Like you can actually dig into the strings. But unless you buff the quarter or the pesos or whatever you're using, unless you buff it really well, you end up scratching your strings, and you can actually damage your strings. So I don't do that anymore. But I had to try it because there's the ZZ Top thing. You got to try it, right? See how it works. The other thing that I'm going to be trying for the first time is the sevens on my guitar. I picked up a set of 2 packs of sevens, and I've never played sevens on any of my guitars. I'm curious to see how that's going to feel. But I'm going to try it, and I don't know which guitar I'm going to use for it, but it should be an interesting experiment. So Jeff says you got to know what you're doing or get some help learning. My best advice, Jeff, is just start with a really crappy guitar that you don't mind messing up. Just do setups, little repairs. You can learn a lot from trying to do repairs. And I'm going to say the hardest thing to do well, especially with limited resources, limited equipment, is being able to get a good paint job. Because you really know it takes a long time. You have to have good equipment. I'm doing this stuff with spray cans, guys. I don't have expensive equipment or a dedicated paint booth or anything like that. Doing the best I can with what I have. But to get a decent finish takes a long time, and I think that's the hardest part. Setups, not so much. The thing that I feel probably the hardest thing is fret jobs. If you're going to be redoing, like taking off all the frets, redoing the frets on a guitar, especially on a Gibson, with the nibs and all that, that's a challenge. So I would say if you're planning on trying that, try on a scrap guitar. And you can find some scrap guitar necks or whatever, and just take off the frets and do fret jobs and see how it comes out. Once you get the hang of it, then once you gain your confidence, you can definitely do that yourself. But at first, you don't want to be trying that on an expensive guitar. That's for sure. So the next couple of items I have on the list that are supposed to be coming in, I actually have 3 guitars coming in for you guys that I'm going to be doing a review on. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to tell you what they are just yet. But suffice it to say, one's a semi-hollow body. Another one is a kind of a, I'm not going to say super strat, but kind of a super strat. And the third one is more of a classic single cut guitar. And I'm hoping they're going to come in soon. And once they do, I definitely want to show you those guitars and do some reviews on those guitars. One of the things that I have to say I still have to do, and one of you reminded me of this when I posted the review on the Purple Telecaster. The unsung hero of that video was the Marshall Studio Plexi, and I still have not actually done a review of that specific amplifier, so I got to do that. You guys are hearing that amplifier more and more in my videos, so you might not know it, but you're hearing it. So I don't know if I even should still do that review since you guys are already hearing it, but I think it would be worthwhile to just at least do the rundown on it, and just give you something specific to see and hear relating to that amp, and how it fits in with the rest, because it really is a beautiful amplifier. I'm actually getting some gas on the idea of trying a Princeton reverb now. I've never owned a Princeton reverb. I've always avoided them because they have most of them have the small speaker size. I like the 12-inch speakers better than the 10-inch speakers, and that particular amp does not have an effects loop, which I like to use. So I kind of shunned that amp, but I like the fact that it's low wattage. I like the fact that it has a really good reverb tank. I tried one when I was in Vegas and I really liked it, but they are expensive. They're not given away, and I don't want to buy one and just then regret it. I've been trying to find a local shop that has them that for rent. Unfortunately, my local Long and McQuaid is useless because they have like amps that nobody wants to rent, and all the good ones are not available. So I'm going to see if I can find one somewhere else. I just want to try to see if I can find one with a 12-inch speaker and try it out, and just to see how well it works with drive. I know it works really well on clean. I know that because almost every single video that I watch on YouTube on that particular amplifier shows it clean, which is great, but I want to hear what it sounds like with a Les Paul and a drive pedal. I want to hear, can it handle drive well? Is it going to become mushy and flubby? If any of you have one, maybe you can give me some advice. I mean, I know that the basic circuit on a Princeton is what Mesa used for the original Mark 1s, and they kind of beefed it up. It'd be great if Fender did the same thing. If they maybe took that amplifier and kind of modernized it a little bit to possibly give it an effects loop, you know, to bring it up to date, I think it'd be killer. I don't know why they don't do that. It used to be considered a low-cost practice amp, but nowadays it's over $1,000. You know, and they're modding, they're putting some, you know, mods in there with different types of speakers and whatnot, which I think is good, but they could do more. They're just not doing it yet. If you hear the barking, it's just my dog. She's having a dream. I don't know what kind of dream, but it seems pretty good. Jeff says, Keith says, I saw the concert when he changed the guitars. He was shredding, lights went out. When he came back on, only guitar left on stage. Anthony kicked it all over the stage, playing bass licks as the guitar screamed. That's cool. That's something to remember. I'm glad I got to see Van Halen twice before Eddie passed away. It was the recent concerts with Dave. I'm a Dave fan more than a Hagar fan. I'm not saying that Hagar wasn't good, just different. I'm not saying that David was better in his later days, because he wasn't. He was losing his voice, but he was there for the flamboyance. And to me, you know, that's Van Halen. That lineup was Van Halen. I just feel bad that the last two concerts I went and see, Michael Anthony wasn't there. It was Wolfgang on bass, and I kind of would have liked to see the entire original lineup. But they were playing really well. I'm going to say the weak link in the lineup was Dave, however, because his voice wasn't up to par, unfortunately. But what can you do, you know? Look at a lot of the other singers that were around in the day. How many of them can still do it? Yeah, Ian, I agree. Rest in peace, man. Eddie's always going to be the king in my book. Richard says Van Halen is a brother's band. I think the brother is alive. Yeah, the brother, you're talking about the drummer, Alex. Yeah, he's alive. I think that's why I'm kind of in my Eddie Van Halen guitar building stage right now. I just, you know, it's a piece of my youth, and I want to keep it going. So even if I only play the striped guitar at home, I've always wanted it. I think I'm more likely to play the tribute Strat out than the striped 5150, just because there's a lot of weight behind that type of guitar, and if you can't really play those Eddie licks, you might be made fun of if you're bringing that guitar to a gig, right? So either you got to practice the Eddie licks, get them down, or just keep it at home and play it at home. Keith says next time Eddie came out, he was playing the white and black. It was shocking. BC Rich says people also want $1,000 for horrible student grade Fender Mustangs and Mustang basses. In the first generation Bullet series, they were low quality intro grade student instruments, not vintage quality. I don't mind paying money for good equipment, but yeah, I agree with you. I feel that the price for the Blues Junior, the price for the Princeton, they just keep going up and up. Are they really worth that much money now? Like, what is so great about those amplifiers that they're making them so expensive? I'm gonna keep my eyes open for a used one, like I always do, and see how that goes. I can't say I'm like actively looking for one, because I do have a Fender Supersonic reverb, which is great in my opinion. Could it do more than the Princeton? It's definitely louder. It's got 2 channels. It's got the effects loop in it. I've already swapped out the speaker in mine so I have the speaker I want in it. So already it's a great amp. But I've always been curious about the Princeton. You guys can talk me out of it, or try. So what else, guys? Is anybody else picking up new pedals, or is that kind of not happening anymore because everybody's buying the multi-effects units? I have a couple new acquisitions in terms of pedals that I'm going to share with you guys as well for reviews. I have a reverb pedal, an affordable reverb pedal that I want to share with you guys, an affordable looper pedal, and the thing about loopers, for me, the simpler the better. I've had looper pedals that have like all kinds of bells and whistles on them. They're not bad, but honestly, for practicality, I like simplicity. So the one I'm going to show you is a pretty simple one and affordable, and that's going to be coming up in a review shortly as well. Seth says, want to get better at guitar, you all? Look at your influences, then go deeper, find who influenced them, then go into another layer and find who's influenced them. It's made me better emulating my early gods. Me too. I've done that. It's funny because, Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page. The thing is, a lot of the influences from those early players were really early. And it's an acquired taste if you really want to go back that far. Like some of the blues artists that influenced Jimmy Page or Eric Clapton and whatnot. If you listen to them today, I mean, some of the stuff doesn't hold up that well. Some of them does, some of it does, but not all of it. So I tried listening to a lot of that stuff way back, but honestly, a lot of it kind of ended up being a little boring. But I can appreciate it. It's good to be able to go back and know where people came from and how they got that sound. Take it easy, Ian. Nice. Thank you for coming in, eh? Nice to see you today. BC Rich says, selling pedals, not buying, other than a 7-band EQ pedal from Amazon Prime Day, 13 $13.50 for a mini pedal that has worked pretty well. I'm assuming that's probably like a Donner or one of those Chinese brands. Vox says, last thing I bought a guitar related almost broke the bank. A 20 pack of Diodario picks. You know what? It's crazy. I did the same thing. I bought a bunch of picks off Amazon. It cost me a freaking fortune for picks. What the hell? They're getting expensive, guys. Everything's getting expensive. So Joe says he's thinking of duplicating the pedal board that Mick of that pedal show uses at home. Small board, but expensive pedals. If you ever look at what he's playing there, they're not cheap. So yeah, you can go with a small board. Those are great. I think you should have two. You should have a full-size board and then a grab-and-go board if you can. That would be the best. Fat Philosopher bought a Boss tuner. Those Boss tuners are indestructible, so it should last a lifetime. And Cohen says the last pedal he got was for free, an Ibanez double sound fuzz wah. Free is good. How do you like it? You know, some of those old Ibanez pedals sound great, man. Yeah, Jeff says, yeah, like we talked you out of the Marshall. You guys didn't try hard enough, Jeff. What do you want me to say? You're supposed to go beyond, you know. I'm addicted. You know, it's not easy for me to say no. William says, I bought an Epiphone Prophecy 2020 version. I was shocked at how bad it was. 4 to 5 high frets and feels like sandpaper. Had to send it back. Well, that sucks. That's always a shame. So you bought it. I'm assuming you bought this sight unseen, right? Because obviously if you tried it at the store, you probably wouldn't have purchased it. That sucks. You know, you're dying to get a new guitar. You pay hard-earned money. You wait for it to arrive. You open up the box, and it's like, yeah, so frustrating. Jeff, you know where the picks are? I'm going to tell you where the picks are. They're either under your seat in your car or in the dryer. That's where I find all of mine. Fat Philosopher says, if you buy that Marshall, I'll come over and kick your dog. Well, it's too late. I already bought the Marshall. It's right there. And nobody kicks the dog. Okay? Nobody kicks the dog. Cohen says the double sound is awesome sounding. I had to repair it a bit, but it's really working nice now. These have quite some value apparently. Yeah, the older Ibanez stuff is in demand. So yeah, if you can fix it, why not? I'm not a big electronic whiz. Like I don't really know everything about electronics. I built a couple of pedals and stuff like that. I can figure out certain things, but I'm not a whiz. At one point, I had I got a defective wah pedal, and the wah pedals are quite simple. So I figured the guy was selling the pedal. It was a Q wah with the switch on the side, which are pretty expensive from Vox. And he wanted $20 for it because it was broken. So I figured I'd buy it, try to fix it. How hard could it be, right? I mean, you could always buy the board and put it back in or whatever. It was just a solder joint that was bad. But the thing is, on those wah pedals, they use a ribbon type setup. It's not individual wires. And those ribbon wires are so fragile. As soon as you bend the ribbon a bit, it cracks. and I wasted so much time on that. The best thing you could do is just take that ribbon, throw it away, and use just regular wires, and you'll avoid issues in the future. Vox wants to know what's a good PAF type humbucker for not too much money. Uh, I like the 57 Classics from Gibson. You can find those on eBay pretty regularly. If you want to go Gibson, if you want to go, let me think here. There's so many. You can also get the Porter Anthems. The Anthem Plus is nice. The Peg City pickups are pretty nice as well. There's a lot of people that make some really nice PF style humbuckers. If you contact also Jeff from High Order Pickups, he winds some really good pickups as well. Not too expensive. He's in the States. I've ordered a. You can't see there. I'm pointing to something you can't see. It's off on the side here, but my Sir guitar. I've ordered a pick guard for it. I'm going to be switching it over to 2 humbuckers instead of the SSH configuration, single humbucker. So it's going to be going to humbucker. I got clipped on the pickguard, but it's on its way, and I'm probably going to get Jeff or somebody else to wind me a neck pickup for that guitar. And we'll see what we can put in there. But I'm going to go back to humbucker because the single humbucker and the 2 single coils don't work for me on that guitar. I've tried to get used to it. I've tried to find solutions. Nothing to it. So going back to something that I know is going to work. I have a 1963 Fender Vibroverb amplifier, 1991 reissue, Oco Diablo, Gregor Hilden signature, and my amp has groove tubes. I had the Oco Diablo at one point. I was hoping to really like that pedal because Greg from Greg's Guitars, I really got to get a better chair. What the hell? Greg's from Greg's Guitars has amazing tone. He uses that on his videos, and I thought I'd love it. Not a cheap pedal. I bought it. I didn't like it. I sold it. And it's not a bad pedal. It's just that compared to the other pedals I had, I was getting very similar sounds. So I couldn't justify keeping a pedal that costs that much money when I can get the same sound more or less with the pedals I had. No problem, Vox. Anytime. DiMarzio makes a good PAF Pro. Got a set used for $100. A lot of us end up overlooking the commercial stuff, the mass-produced stuff when we think pickups, PAF pickups. For some reason, we automatically think it's got to be boutique or hand-wound, but there's a lot of great sounding PAF style pickups that are floating out there on the used market. Just check eBay. Just remember, if you're going to be putting in an individual pickup with another, make sure the polarity it matches. South, north. You don't want to have north, north or south, south because it's going to be weird. Barney, what are you doing, man? I'm going to have to ban Barney. Trying to be funny. Bye, Barney. There's always one in the bunch, right? So guys, we've been on for 2 hours. I'm going to be wrapping it up. Is there any other questions? Anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap it up for today? It's been a great show. I think we talked about a lot of cool things. Getting more and more people coming in here that are like great. They're just interested in gear, bringing up topics that I didn't think about bringing up for the show, which is great. Sharing a whole bunch of stuff. You know, what else can I ask for? You guys are a great community, and I really do appreciate you guys coming in and sharing the 70th show with me like this. And I hope you guys keep on doing that, because I look forward to these Sunday shows. I don't care what anybody says. The live shows are great, and I like to be able to interact with you guys. Being able to create videos is fun, but getting the feedback and talking with you guys one-on-one, that's where the real love is being felt, at least on my side. Thanks, Seth. I appreciate you too, buddy. William is asking if I've ever played a Buddha amp. No, I have not tried the Buddha amps. They're not that popular here, so you don't always see them. Joel, thank you very much. I'll keep you posted on the weight loss, and the camera doesn't lie, right? So if ever if I'm popping up on a review or something, and you see something happening that's not, moving in a positive direction, you'll know that something's gone haywire. But I'm going to try to keep at it and stay in shape as much as I can. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for asking people to buy a mug. Yeah, sure. Grab a mug, grab a sticker, grab whatever you like. It's all there for the taking, and it's much appreciated. So thank you guys for another excellent Sunday show. Please stay cool. Try and keep cool. Just cool off in your pool. Stay in front of your air conditioning unit. Play your guitar naked. Do what you have to do. But stay cool. It'll pass. The heat wave won't last forever. Before you know it, it'll be winter. And you'll be hoping that it warms up. But thank you guys very much. If you like the Sunday shows, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't filled out the poll, please fill it out. I want to get everybody to vote on that poll as much as possible. And peace, everybody. Peace and love. Stay healthy. And we'll see you next week. Keep your eye on the channel. There'll be other videos that'll be posted soon. All right, guys? Rock and roll. Talk to you soon.